Hello everybody, Adrienne here, and today I'm coming to you with my first impression slash get ready with me of Colourpop's Meant to Be palette. This is the outer packaging that palette came in, and it is a gorgeous box, just like all of Colourpop's packaging, and the names of each shade are written on the back. This is what the actual palette looks like. It is part of the monochromatic series, and obviously the Meant to Be is it's a mint shade palette, and the names are on the back also, as well as printed on the inside. I don't know why I'm worrying about covering it up. It does have a mirror in here, so that's nice. I guess I am getting a little bit of a glare even though it's got the little protective covering over it, but these are the shades in the palette. It is a pastel palette. I have not swatched these colors or done anything with this palette. There will be a haul coming up with some Colourpop products, but if it's not already posted, if it is, I'll go ahead and put a link up here so you can click on it, and also leave a link down in the description box so you can watch it after this video. But this 9pan monochromatic palette is gorgeous pastel colors, so I'm really not sure how this is going to turn out since I haven't swatched it or anything. But I am prepared. I hope not, but I do have some single shadows that I don't want to talk about unless I need to pull them in to finish this look that are from Colourpop, because I don't like it when people pull in other shades and say that they're doing a look of one palette and that you can't actually complete that look with the one palette. But I'm just giving you a forewarning that I'm not sure with everything being so pastel that I can get the depth and dimension that I need. So to get started, and I'm just looking at the colors again, I think I'm going to start out with this one, and I don't have my readers on and everything's printed in silver, so with the light it's reflecting and even harder to read. But this shade here, I think I'm going to go in with a e.l.f. crease, what is this? No, an e.l.f. contour brush, and just dab into this color here, and I'll leave it up on the screen so I don't have to put it in the editing later. And I'm going to tap it because I don't want the dust to go everywhere, and I'm using light motions to build that color up because I'm not sure what I'm going to get. And for primer on my eyelids, I use my typical MAC Prep and Prime 24-hour eye base, and then my MAC Paint Pot in Laying Low. And I'm just taking a little more of that same shade to blend into the crease. And it is coming out pretty light, so I'm going to go up towards the brow bone a little more with it. This is definitely going to be pretty for spring. I really wish they would have waited to release this until spring. I wasn't sure in the middle of February that I wanted to create this look, but I also am getting tired of doing hauls with some of the palettes and then putting them off for months and months and months and not showing you guys. And you see a palette and maybe it's exciting to you and you would like to know how it's going to perform. So I decided to go ahead and start with this palette. Now I can see that I probably won't touch it again to create any looks until the spring. I can imagine a lot of different looks for summertime, springtime that would be gorgeous with this palette, and it's definitely got some standout shades in it. So I feel like Colourpop has made it easy to have a really different makeup aesthetic than the average everyday person wears on quite a nice budget. So that is exciting. And it's building up a lot faster on this eye because I already have a lot more product in the brush, and I'm just buffing that in. This is definitely a palette that I think I would use a very light primer. I wouldn't use a flesh tone primer. And this is that same color that I showed you in the beginning. I wouldn't use a flesh tone primer and then try to build these shades, because I think you would need your eye as close to white base as you can get to get the actual color to pick up. But I think this color and the pigmentation did do nicely, maybe a little bit more over here. And I'm not worried about being sloppy about it. I would rather get everything down and consistent and clean up any messes I have, and it looks like this side is pretty good also. One thing I'm noticing is that this shade blended nicely, and I didn't notice any grabbing or patchiness in any spots. So I'm going to hold this palette up so you can look at it, and this one does look a little warmer. out of most of the shades in the palette, the one that I chose to lay down first, and I think I'm going to have to go with this one in the crease to build up the crease. This shade here seems to be a little more mint green with more of a cool blue tone to it. So maybe another look. I don't think I'm going to get to use that one today, but I'm going to go in with the e.l.f. blending brush and just pat this color. I'm not getting a lot of kick up with it, but I am going to tap it off because I'm scared to get fallout on my face and trying to clean that up if it gets into other parts of the look. But I'm going to tap and build this color up in the crease first. Make sure everything's set because I got a feeling with my primer, if a lot of it falls out from the blending motion, it's going to blend into the primer, and I'm not going to like that. Plus, I think that with these kind of colors, where you want them the most intense, you're going to have to pack them. I don't think this is going to be a palette where you can do a lot of blending unless you want everything to just turn into like a powder puff poof of one color, and you won't have any depth and dimension, because as you saw with that first shade where I used that e.l.f. contouring brush, it really did make my eyeshadow primer a light mint green shade, but it didn't hold any of the color intensity that that shade had in the palette. So that's just a little tip, and I feel as if I'm gonna try to go into this spot right here. I feel like right in here I'm getting a little patchiness. I guess not, maybe just didn't have as much intensity with the brush, but like I said, I definitely think with pastels you need to place them down, and I'm going to go back in with that contour brush with the first shade that I used and just barely blend at the edges of that second color I put in the crease because I don't want to lose it. Just softening up the edges. It's really intense and pretty. I am liking it so far, and even though I do like a lot of the shimmers, the metallics in this palette, a lot of them I think are going to look kind of the same on my complexion. The two that I'm really curious to use are this one, and I think I'm going to start out with this one in case it ends up being too light, and I'm going to take a Mary Kay eyeshadow brush for that and tap into it. Ooh, that's pretty bright, and I'll show you how easy it's picking up on the brush. Let me put my hand behind it so you can see it's building up pretty good even on a dry brush. That's a lot of intense pigmentation for a dry brush. I'm wondering if I'm going to look like a leprechaun or something when I'm done with this look. It definitely wouldn't be something that I would wear on a day-to-day basis, but I think this palette would look beautiful mixed with the Lilac U palette, but I have not picked that palette up, and I don't think I'm going to, because I'm really trying to not pick up everything just because it's a beautiful color from a brand that I like it. Just because I like that brand's product, I meant to say, because that Juvias Place, the Violets palette, I love it, and I think that if you have that palette, you definitely don't need the Colourpop Lilac U palette. So I will probably pair this, because I have some head wraps, some scarves for head wraps that I think could make a beautiful look with the two of these palettes paired together. And a lot of you did request my last Colourpop haul before this one with these products that I'm just going up a little bit higher where my eye is hooded. Might as well put it up there with intense color because that's where it's going to end up anyway. But back to what I was saying, a lot of you did request me to do the Honey palette, and I did not forget about you. And I know this is a little off and bizarre, but I'm going to go ahead while I'm still patting this shade on and just stop for a second. And I'm going to pop swatches of that Honey palette up for you guys so you can see it on my skin tone. And then I'll be right back and tell you why I haven't made the video. now that you've seen those swatches of the Honey palette, I really don't have any depth and dimension with that to create anything with that palette. That palette, not to say that I don't like the yellows, and I love the way they swatched, and I am excited to have it, but I don't think for a woman of color that's a core palette that you can do much with. You're definitely going to have to pull something else in with it. And like I said before I start creating this look, I don't want to have that palette and then half of another palette all in one. So I don't know, maybe I will pair it. I think it will go pretty paired with this palette, so I can see myself doing some looks with that. I also think it would be pretty with the Ooh La La palette that I have, and maybe the strawberry palette, and I'm trying to think. I don't know. I guess it could be paired also with the Main Squeeze palette, the red palette. The peach palette, I think it would be pretty with whatever. It has to go with something else. And I have some palettes that are, I guess I can keep going while I'm talking to you, a lot more exciting, that have those yellow colors in it that I can get full looks out of. So I will be doing something with that palette. I'm just not going to take the time to do it until spring, because I'm just cleaning my brush off with the color switch because I want to use it again, but probably sometime in the spring I'll get to that. And I want to try to use this shade, so I'm going to go in here with this one and put it on this part of the eye. I don't know if it's going to appear much darker. It looks like it in the palette. It doesn't really look much darker. It just looks like a different tone of mint. I don't know if you can see that. As a matter of fact, I think it is almost turning out lighter than this. And this is crazy looking at it in the pan because it looks like it's a darker shade than this one. But looking at it, it's not. So what I'm going to do is continue to put it on and get it more towards the middle. And then I'm going to go into that outer V with one of the matte shades and just deepen that up. Or maybe just do a halo eye and use some more of that first shade, but the darker looking metallic shade turns out to look lighter than the medium tone metallic shade. So it's always some kind of surprise. Okay, I'm going to go back to that first metallic shade and come into the outer edge, but not the outer V, because I'm going to deepen that up. This shade, the darker looking metallic shade, almost has like a yellow tint, like a lemon type green shade to it, like a multichrome. And it probably is a multichrome. I think I want to go back in with that e.l.f. blending brush and take this shade and build up some more of that crease shade, because I feel like I lost a lot of it getting my metallics down. Just patting that in. Everything's layering really well. To tell you the truth, I did expect to have a little more issue with this palette than what I'm having. I'm not really having any issues at all, I'm finding. So that's really pleasant. And I think I'm going to go again back with this first shade with the e.l.f. contouring brush and add more color on the outer edge. And with this palette, I just feel like you need to take your time and gradually build colors. I think it'll get sloppy and a hot mess fast if you are not patient with it. And I think I'm going to use this color, go in with this color for the brow bone. I think that's going to be too chalky white, so I'm just going to take this angled brush here and tap a little bit of that on. Ooh, I kind of like that. Seems like it's got a bluer tint to it. I don't know why I did it that way. I know this brush only works on the side a certain way. Maybe a little bit more just to get the white shade away. Taking that blending brush again, and it's just really precise blending, and whatever you do, do not get your blending brushes mixed up. So this is the darkest shade here in the palette. That's what I have to contour with. So hopefully that will get it done. And I'm going to go in with my Real Technique brush. And I'm going to go ahead and post a number to these brushes in the video because I have no idea what they're called. And I never remember to look and see what they are once I stop recording, so I can get them memorized for you. So maybe if I have to keep typing it on the screen, maybe one of these days I'll actually remember what it's called. But I like this for precision. This is getting right in that crease and adding depth and dimension without taking away from my crease shade. And I'm going to put a little bit of this color on the outer V also. What this palette is reminding me of, and you guys let me know if you have it, is the Huda Beauty Emerald Obsession palette. I never bought that one, so I don't know for sure if it's really similar to it, but just some of the looks that I saw her wear, like this look right now, is reminding me of one of her promo pictures. This quality has been really excellent. I haven't had any issues blending anything, no patchiness with this palette. The only thing I can say, and it's just like this palette, because the colors are so pastel and sheer, could be sheer if they're blended too much. Take your time with the palette, but other than that, so far I've enjoyed working with this palette. And this intensity is really coming in well. Adding a little bit more of that shade over here. And I think just on the outer V, because of the hooded eye, I'm going to bring that shade up just a little bit higher on the outer V part into the transition shade, just in the outer V. Now looking at the palette for the inner corner highlight, I know I didn't use this color or this color here. I am not sure, looking down for my little brush that I usually do that with. To keep it more of a minty look, I'm going to try this shade. And I think that this shade looks too much like this shade here that's in the center of the halo. So I'm going to go ahead and add it to this side just to keep balance, but I'm going to flip this brush over and go for this side that I didn't use, this shade. And this one has more of a green tint to it, so it looks a lot different than this shade that I use in the center of the halo. Make sure I got the right side. Okay, so I'm going to stop applying color now, and I'm going to go off camera and finish the rest of my makeup and do liner and lashes. I may end up using a colored eyeliner. If I do, I will let you know what that is, but I'll be right back with the completed look. So here I am back with the finished look. I really don't know how I feel about this look once it is completed. The whole look's kind of throwing me off because I'm not used to wearing lip gloss, but my lips are so dry that all up through here there's cracks in them literally, and the skin is peeling, so I didn't want to put on any matte lipsticks. That being said, this look totally reminds me of the 60s. I feel like I stepped right out of the 60s, with the exception of not having a matte lip. I definitely think that this is a pretty eye color. I don't think I really care with it with the lipstick. I would like it with a more matte lipstick like I just said, but to complete the look, I did go in with a eyeliner pen. It's a LA Girl eyeliner pen, and it's in the shade, I want to say Emerald. That's what it is. I think this would pair really well with Colourpop's green eyeliner, but when I went to order it, I couldn't get it because it was already gone. And I did go in with LA Girls eyeliner here. This is a green eyeliner on the bottom lash line. That's what I'm wearing. This look is definitely unique and colorful and out of the comfort zone. It's a pretty look. I think that it would also look really good with glasses on, because I do typically wear pink glasses and I won't set them down. Oh gosh, they're filthy. But this look I could probably pull off every day with actual glasses on. Maybe having all this dirt and film all over, maybe it's keeping you from getting a glare, but the eyeshadow doesn't look as bright and vivid with the glasses on, so I probably would try to pull this off in the summer as long as I've got my glasses on. But this is a $12 palette, and it's nice to be able to try all these monochromatic series and have everything already lined up in a look together, because this is probably not something I ever would have put together on my own. I'm happy to have this palette. I can't wait to pair it with other things, and I hope that you enjoyed this video and it helped you decide if maybe this is a palette that you want to pick up. If you haven't already seen the recent Colourpop haul, I will go ahead and post a link to it up here. I'm not sure which of these videos I'm going to post first, but there it is for you, and it'll also be down in the description box. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, please give it a thumbs up and don't forget to subscribe. You also want to hit the notification bell next to the subscribe button, and I'll see you guys soon.